Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's WV Running Dawn here. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about my JFK 50-mile run experience at the race. Now, you already know that I finished, so you've seen the race video. Hopefully, if not, then I'll link it here in the cards and at the end of the video. But yeah, I finished the race. I just want to give you a little recap of how the race went, things that happened along the course and that kind of stuff. As far as you know, I started and I finished. Most of you know that. Some of you may know how things went. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see some information there from what happened during the race. But I'm gonna go in more detail here. So, race started 6:30. I got up from the hotel and Stacy drove me to the area where the start was, where all the runners were parking, and I had to walk just a short distance, not much, but it was easier for her to do that than take me downtown and park, especially when I didn't know where to put my drop bag at first. But anyway, I walked down to the start line, and it was probably about a half a mile or less, but I was able to get my drop bag taken care of, and 6:30 came around. They're like ready, set, go. So we took off. First couple miles, not too bad. Up and down the short hills, and then became all hill climbing up to the Appalachian Trail. Now, I heard after the race that a deer jumped out of the woods and hit a runner, knocked him over, knocked him on the ground, or right on the road actually. And that was before the AT part of the trail. I mean the AT part of the race. If I say AT, I mean Appalachian Trail. Now, after the initial climb, we were mostly on the ridge of this part of the Appalachian Trail. Now, I was able to get to the Appalachian Trail in under 28 minutes, which I guess that's a good time. I don't know. My pace was about 11 something at that point, and then it's off on the Appalachian Trail. Not a whole lot of trees down, but there's a lot of rocks up there. A lot of big rocks, boulders, things that are like 1 and 2 feet wide in diameter. You know, big rocks, and some little ones that you can't see because they're covered up with leaves. So what happened? Some people fell. Yes, I was one of those people. I was one of those people that fell. So I don't know exactly where I was when I fell for the first time. Wasn't that bad. I just slid and went down like, oh shoot, hey, get back up, keep on going. Well, there are two different places up at on the trail where they had aid stations. So I was able to, when I got to an aid station, I was able to, do my water, Gatorade, and get me something to eat. I had some bars with me that I ate, so I was able to do that. The first major cutoff is what's called the Weaverton Cliffs, and that's an area where there's a lot of switchbacks, because it's the descend down to, or when you descend down to the CNO towpath part of the race. Well, I was about 1 mile, probably within 1 mile of being off of that place, off of the AT part. I saw probably 4 or 5 people fall in front of me, and at one point I fell a second time. Well, the second time, I wasn't as lucky as I was the first, and the second time I hit my ribs right in here somewhere, and it hurt a little bit, but I just got up, and people around me were like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. So I kept on going. Like I said, I was at about mile 14 at that point, and well, I took it easy going down the Weaverton Cliffs, so I didn't want to fall again, and I didn't want to hold people up behind me. So I was able to keep myself upright for the rest of the race anyway. Ended up coming off of the Weaverton Cliffs checkpoint at 3 hours and 20 minutes. That was the first checkpoint off of the trail, off the AT trail, or AT. And then a little bit further down, they had a marker for your cutoff, which at that point I was at 3 hours and 27 minutes, and I had 5 hours to finish that part of the race. So I'm already ahead of myself by an hour and a half at least. So I thought, okay, I'm doing pretty good here. So I continued. I got on the towpath, and believe it or not, the towpath has railroad tracks that cross it. And at some point of the race, some people got held up at trains crossing those tracks. So I'm glad that didn't happen to me, because it cost some people like 10 minutes. Yeah, but and I read something that some guy that happened last year, and it cost him making the cutoff at one of the later cutoff points. So he was 4 minutes short at one of the cutoff points, and he had to drop out. They took him off the course. So he was pretty upset about that, and he said that makes him not want to come back. But I didn't get stuck there, so I was hour and a half ahead of schedule, or ahead of the cutoff anyway at that point. Now the next part on the CNO towpath, it went 26 point something miles, about 27 I think. Anyway, it's a marathon. Hello.
Hey,
I in town.
you're in town?
I doing a video. You're on my video. Say hi.
What?
You're on my video. Say hi.
Oh, hello.
I'll cut that out though.
Well, no, I was confused. I thought you meant I accidentally like video chatted you.
No, I'm at the senior center.
Oh, so wait, are you running?
No, I'm walking. Doing a recap
Oh, okay, well.
of my video. Well, the next cutoff was at Antietam, and before you get to Antietam, you're already going to go past Harper's Ferry, which is not too far. It's just a few miles up from the Weaverton Cliffs area, and that's actually the first point that I got to that I recognized. Oh, hey, I know Harper's Ferry. Saw the bridge, saw the cliff, and just there's the town over there. I'm not real familiar with all of the different names of the aid stations, but every aid station they had, like, it was like every 3 miles or so, three and a half, 4 miles, something like that. And all the aid stations kind of they were I guess you could say sponsored by an organization, a lot of times a running organization or school, something like that. So they had really good aid stations, a lot of good food. I had stuff with me, but I don't think I needed it. I just did well enough with bringing all my water and using all the food that they had, because there's a lot of food. So I got to pass the got up to Antietam. I was feeling pretty good. Probably just before Antietam, I was trying to do a run walk thing, and I ended up, when I got off of the 18, was going on the towpath, I looked at my watch, and it was said it was on low battery. So I'm like, oh well, I'll just charge it, because I had a battery charger with me, because I was trying to get tracked by the RaceJoy app, and I got that figured out at the beginning of the race. But by now I was like 4.5, 5 hours in, and I realized, I looked in my pockets, I did not have my power pack charger. So I'm like, I guess I must have dropped that when I fell. So it came out of my pocket, I lost it. No battery charger. That meant the phone wasn't going to last. That meant the camera batteries weren't going to last, because I already used up one. I used up 2 batteries on the race before mile 30, and it's because it was cold and breezy and all that kind of stuff. But then when I realized I wasn't going to be able to, that I only had one battery left for my camera, I just forgot about filming so much of the towpath because I wanted to be able to film the finish. So that's why there wasn't as much trail footage as I would like to have had, because they had some really good aid stations. They had the aid station that gave out pierogies. John at Motivation Theory Running, he has talked about the lady that gives out the pierogies. So they were good, little mini pierogies. And they have at mile 34, they have what they call a miracle at mile 34. So they had Christmas themes there, had people dressed up like elves and Santa Claus, Mrs. Clauses, that kind of stuff. And somebody asked me if I was going to give Santa Claus a run for his job this year. So how many Santa Claus jokes do you think I get every year, especially around this time? Well, so after I realized I didn't have my battery charger, it was more like me running. I turned the GPS off on my watch just so I can have a time, so I knew what time it was. And then, because I knew the GPS wasn't going to last for another 6 hours on that trail. And no way it's going to last for that long. So I ended up just doing the rest of the race. Well, I did run walk, and that worked out for me fine. So about mile 38, I got to what's called it's called Taylor's Landing, and that's one of the places where they let people, like, if you want people to crew you, they can stay there, and you can stop and do whatever you need to do there, get food, replenishments, whatever, change your shoes, whatever. Some people change their shoes after the Weaverton cliffs, after they got off the trail. But I didn't have that. I just had I brought my own stuff with me. But when I got up to the Taylor's Landing, it was just a really long row of people helping out runners and stuff. Well, I ended up walking through most of that, and when I did, I was walking, eating. I had some chicken broth. I had some I had some cookies. I had M&Ms, pretzels, all that kind of stuff. Eating, drinking. Well, after the Taylor's Landing one, I tried to run some more, and it just wasn't going to happen. I had a feeling it was going to happen like this because my calves kept getting tight, and I did stop at one point because I dropped something, and I could barely bend over to pick it up. My calves just seized up so bad, so tight, such a tight cramps. And I think it's just from overuse, because as far as hydration, I was drinking I was alternating a Gatorade and pop and water all throughout the aid stations and stuff, even with my stuff that I had. But I think the calf problem was I don't think it was dehydration. I think it was just from using them. But anyway, once that happened to me twice, I got past the Taylor's Landing, started going again, and it happened. I'm like, nah, I can't run. I can't run it. So at that point, I was at mile 38, and I was about 8.5 hours into the 50 miles. So that gave me still almost 5 hours. That gave me almost 5 hours to go 12 miles. So wasn't too bad. But then again, I started doing my walking thing. I walked the whole time. I didn't know what my pace was. I was just going sort of as quickly as I could, without just taking off into a running stride. So I went another 3 miles, mile 41, to the dam, the last portion of the towpath. So the next portion was going to go onto some hard paved roads. So that was mile 41, and I was at about 9.5 hours there. So that gave me 4 hours to go like 8 miles. 8 point something miles. So 4 hours to go that many miles. I think I can walk. I think I can walk that. So I started walking. Like I said, walking fast, and I caught up with this guy. He's like, we were talking, you know, and I told him that I can't run because my calves are getting all seized up on me. He said, oh, he said that happened to me last time I did this race, and he got himself some compression sleeves for his legs, and he said that's helped him a lot this past race. So I'm like, hey, that's something for me to try. I mean, I know people do the arm sleeves and the calves. I just never thought about doing that. Just one more thing you gotta carry around with you, right? And one more thing you gotta put on. But maybe I should try that, definitely with these longer races anyway. But I got up to him, we talked, and then I kind of just took off. He got behind me for some reason. I started taking off up the hill, I did, and then he got back up with me. He said, you're getting a pretty good stride going with your walking up this hill. I'm like, well, this is the pace I use when I'm at home walking by myself, so I'm just used to it. And still at that point, I had no idea how fast I was going. I didn't know my pace. I didn't know exactly where I was. I was just going on with the amount of what the mile markers were saying. And at that point, when you got off the towpath, instead of them telling you what mile you were on, they told you how many miles you had left. So it was kind of like that. And it wasn't until I got off of that towpath that I realized how many miles I had left, because I asked the guy that I caught up with, I said, hey, how many miles we got left here? About 10, 12? He's like, no, we got only about 8 miles left. I'm like, woo, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get, I can get 8 miles in 3 hours. I can do that. I definitely can do that. More like 8 miles in 3.5. Yeah, I was at 9.5. I can like 10, 11, 12. Yeah, yep. So I just kept doing my thing, and I met up with this guy, another guy, that I had already seen a few other times in the race. He and I were talking earlier in the run, and he said, you look like you've done a few of these. And I said, no, this is my first one. This is my first 50, and this is my first JFK, of course. First, it's my first JFK, and it's my first 50. So, and when you tell somebody that, they're like, well, congratulations, so keep going, that kind of stuff. You know, they're always always encouraging. So I stuck with this guy. We were talking, and he was on his 20th JFK50 run. 20th run. And the guy said he just turned 60 this year. So here I am, I turned 50, he turned 60. I'm running my first, he's running his 20th of the series, which is fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. The guy's name is Bill Haber. So you look in the results, you'll see my name and then his name at the 11:41 mark. That's when we finished. And you can look on the video, you can look online, when you look at the results, you can see our finishing video, because there's video. They have a camera set up right there at the finish line, so that you can see yourself when you come across the finish line. So then it's also for people that are at home, they can also monitor, because it was a live Facebook feed. So anyway, I got with Mr. Bill Haber, and he and I walked in the last 7, 8 miles or so, and we talked, and he's telling me he's done the Huntington races. He's done half marathons in every state. Man, he's just an all out runner. He seemed like a really nice guy to talk to for the last 3 hours. And there were other people that came up to us and were talking with us and walking with us. And near the end, there's a girl. She's in her, I think she's definitely in her 20s, I guess. She was talking to us, and her knee wasn't feeling well, so she was walking also. So she walked in with us until she saw the finish line, and she went ahead and ran it in. I told Bill, hey, I know I can't run, but if you want, you want to go run that finish, go ahead. And he said, nah, I'm okay. He said he'll just walk it in with me. So there we are walking in at the finish line. His wife was there, and she took some pictures of us, and she's going to send the pictures to me, and so that I can have them for my finish line picture. I got to go through the websites, the different places that did the pictures for the race, and find my pictures. Man, there's a lot of pictures. There were over 1,000 people that started this race, and 950, something like that, finished. But they had 1,400 people signed up at the beginning, way at the beginning. So like I'm telling you again, we walked the last few miles in. Bill knew exactly where we were going. We kept asking him, which way do we turn here? Which way do we turn here? He knew exactly where to turn, and we got in there, got it finished up. So I got my first 50-mile run, the JFK50, the 60th running of the JFK50. Will I do it again? If I was going to do another 50, that would be a good one to do right there. It might be a little bit more interesting than doing like a road 50, or I know there's a lot of these kind of ultras in West Virginia too, big long races. There was a 100-mile race called Rim to Rim down near the New River Gorge just a few weeks ago, just like a week before I did mine. Or no, it was like the same weekend I did the Marshall half. Yeah, that's right. And Mark Sutak, he ran that race, his first 100-mile run, and he's the guy that is the race director for the EHQ 12-hour run that I've done, and also the Run to Read series races that go on at Fairmont and Prickett's Fort. But just a few little things I was going to say about my experience. Once I fell on that trail and got off of the trail, I didn't know how well I was doing with my run-walk method, since I couldn't really evaluate my pace or anything. There were a couple of times when I didn't think I was going to be able to finish. I didn't think I was going to make the cutoff. I didn't think I was going to be able to go the whole 50 miles. And I had, I think it's that time, the hour and a half on that trail is what kept me in the running for the 50 miles. I got caught up in the beginning with people that were going kind of quick, and I think if I would have been in the back of the pack, I would have had a whole different kind of experience. Yes, there were people passing me when I was walking, and they were looking fine and they were looking strong, and here I am walking it in. But just about every one of those people said, just keep moving, you'll get there, keep moving. And that's what I did. And I got it wasn't until I got off of that trail, or got off that towpath, that I realized that I was going to be able to finish. I was going to make this cutoff, because I can walk 8 miles in 3 hours and still be there before the 7:30 cutoff. So it was an experience. It was a good experience. I had fun. It was a long experience, a long day. As for my ribs, well, what do you know? I have bruised ribs now. No running for over a week. So it hurts right here. Hurts when I take a deep breath. My carry stuff, I get up and down, it hurts. But you know, I'm still moving. So that's a plus. I'm gonna get off of, when I get home tonight, after this video, after I'm done up here, I'm gonna go home and try to do some walking on the treadmill. Maybe do some little piece of running, I don't know, just to try to see how far I can get with the ribs the way they are. But if I have to wait a little bit longer to run, then I'll have to wait a little longer to run. I didn't do a turkey trot this year, which I didn't think I was going to, but I also didn't know how well I was going to feel after doing 50 miles, if I would even want to do a turkey trot. But I have the only race that's coming up that I do a lot of is Run to Read, and that would be the first week of January. So still got another month and a half before well, a little over a month for that race before it's time to do that one. It's a half marathon. I don't think I'd really have to do too much training for it. Just go out there and run, and you know, take whatever I get for the time, instead of going out there and trying to actually do something. But I'll figure that out when the time comes. But yeah, my ribs have been hurting me for over a week and a half. It comes and goes. I've been taking ibuprofen for it. They don't do anything at the doctors or hospitals for bruised or cracked ribs. They don't even wrap you up anymore. You just take it easy and let them heal. And the last thing I'm gonna do is go to the hospital and get an x-ray, then get a bill for $500, because that seems like you can't go to a hospital without that. And when I first got home on that following Sunday, I was pretty sore all the way around, but it's not as bad now. But any reason, mostly didn't go to the doctor because I didn't have any trouble breathing, and I'm still not having trouble breathing. But I got to get out and test the waters a little bit to see how the ribs feel when I'm out moving around more, when I'm actually doing my regular activity, to see if I still need to rest them up a little bit, or maybe I can just go easy on them, go easy and not maybe not do any trail running, because that really jostles people around, me around anyway. And then I can just go ahead and stick to running easy on the treadmill or up here in town while the weather is still good. But that's it for my recap video, guys. I made it in at 11 hours 41 minutes. Got together with Stacy and the kids. We drove home that night, got home about 11, and I got cleaned up a little bit after the race, but then I waited to take my shower when I got back to the house, then went to bed, laid down, and got up the next morning all stored up like somebody beat me up. But anyway, I hope you guys like my recap video. I enjoy doing these races, and I enjoy talking to people about them. Just ask my wife and kids, they're always hearing about this stuff. I think I stopped talking about it mostly with them, but I've talked to a few people at work about it, but not too many. Just the ones that seem to be more interested in my running. But I think I'll make a decision sometime later on if I'm going to do anything else like this. I got asked by my brother-in-law, hey, you gonna do another one? You gonna do another one? First I say, I don't know, probably, but don't ask me why, because I don't know when. But hope you guys enjoy the video, the recap. Go back and watch it. If you haven't seen the race video, go check the links and watch the race video and see if it coincides a little bit with what I had talked about here. Great views in the video. Some nice people at the race, and there's always time to talk to people when you're out there. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Drop me a like, drop me a comment, let me know what you're doing, and don't forget to come back again so you can see me in the next one. And remember, it's a great day to go for a run wherever you may be. Thanks for watching, guys.